The goal of today's podcast is don't get canceled.
Well, you know what? We all need lofty goals, but I'm going to introduce you before we even get that far.
That's true.
So I'm here today, guys. You know, one thing we love on this show is good food. And I've never had anybody on this show who makes food unless I've had it and I love it. And so that's why I decided you had to be on the show. So I have with us Pedro Mederos, who is the head chef of Kojin 2.0. So thank you for coming with us, man. You brought some what is it? Is this rosé champagne?
Rosé champagne.
All right, well, let's go with Salud.
Salud.
Thank you for bringing that.
Cheers to my man behind the screen.
Junior. I got to tell you, aside from the fact that when I first saw the name of your restaurant, I thought it was Kojin. Which I think you should still do it.
There's an obnoxious amount of cushions in there for that reason. Like everywhere
on
you
the
look, no. Like I'm very much the joke. It's not even the name anymore. It's me.
But I gotta say, we stumbled onto, because you're in the old eating house space there in Coral Gables, and we literally stumbled into your restaurant because we were coming back home. And we're like, we're hungry. Oh, let's go to that new place. And I gotta say, dude, from that first night, like I just genuinely fell in love with not just your restaurant, your food, but with you. Because you and your staff, like everybody there was just so damn nice and so like cool and fun and like you are creating, I will say it's not the same vibe as Eating House, but it is an Eating House vibe, if that makes sense. Like you're creating a vibe of people wanting to hang out.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's so hard to do genuinely.
Well, you know, I think what it boils down to, right, is like we're a fine dining restaurant, and when, especially Miami, I feel like you hear fine dining, you expect white tablecloths, and you expect this like
snooty.
Yeah, this sense of, I wouldn't even say pompousness. It's just like, you're here. I know more than you do. We're better than you. And I'm not saying that this is for all fine dining restaurants. It just happens to be like the norm, or at least it was when I was growing up. And I can't stand that, right? Like we're all here to have a good time. And I don't gain anything from lecturing you as a guest. I gain from like just you having a good time. Right. And if that means we're shooting the shit about sports, awesome. If we're, shooting the shit about existential crises, great, right? Like it doesn't matter what it's about. It's like, are you having a good time? No. What can I do? Right. What can anyone on my team do? And that like stems into a whole other thing about our core values on hospitality. Like my hospitality starts with my team. They're my number one priority. I take care of them. I don't worry about them taking care of a guest ever.
That's very evident to me. Again, I've been there now a couple times because again, you're right in like a block and a half from my house.
What's your address again? For everyone in the back?
Yeah, no, I don't need stalkers. Yeah, I know. We're trying to reduce that. Damn it. But like I said, yes, your staff is like they're people who want to be there.
Yeah.
Like that's the vibe I get from them, So I do want to take a step back. So you said, growing up, fine dining was, it kind of sucked because it was all like snooty, like, past the Grey Poupon bullshit. I did not know that you were actually born in Cuba.
Yeah. I was born in Cárdenas.
In Cárdenas. And
El pueblo la bicicleta.
Is it really?
Yeah, dude. Apparently, like people from Cárdenas were like warlords. Probably isn't the right term, but yes, we were like the most modern people. Like when Cuba got bicycles, they were in Cárdenas. When Cuba got cars, they were in Cárdenas. So like it was forever known colloquially as El pueblo la bicicleta.
I mean, there are worse things to be known as in a communist country.
Well. Yeah.
You could be a pueblo where they assassinated people.
Well, there's a little bit of that too, but we'll go with the bicycles.
Bicycles, riflemen. I'll give me bicycles.
Right. No art school dropouts though.
No.
Well, different conversation. Moving on.
I feel like I should know that, but well, you know what? That we'll put that as a Patreon.
Yeah. That's definitely pay to subscribe. Can't get upset.
There you go. Exactly. But so, how old were you when you came over from Cuba?
I was a year and 3 months old.
Okay, because even for someone who grew up in Miami, You don't really have a Miami accent.
No. I've trained myself out of it.
You don't have it. And so that's why when I heard, oh, you're born in Cuba, raised here, I was like, how? Because that accent is it's neutral.
Oh yeah,
it's a very neutral English and
super.
And so how did you beat that out of yourself here in Miami? Or who beat it out of you?
No, it was one of those things. Like I grew up with weird pop culture. I mean, like I came in the night. I was born in 93, right? So I got here in 94.
God, you're so young. Shut up.
Stop it. You're gorgeous. But I grew up for the most part in the 90s and like early 2000s, right? But we're talking about single mom who lived her like formative years in Cuba. So Cuba was 20, 30 years behind. So you can imagine like the culture I'm more of a 90s kid than most 90s kids I know, because I came here and I was like, what? There's color TV. You know what I mean? Again, a year and 3 months old, but like hearing these stories of like, we haven't seen color TV in Cuba ever.
Right.
So for me, it was like, I grew up watching, 80s movies, 90s movies, listening to 90s music. Like I didn't really have my first album that I ever bought was at the Target here on Bird Road, and it was Pearl Jam 10. So like
such a good album.
Phenomenal album. But for me, what was modern was like, hey, the song Jeremy, the music video was banned on MTV. And I'm like, I don't even know what year that happened, but I probably wasn't conscious for it, right?
You were not here. And I can tell you that because I was in middle school when that song came out.
I'm sorry.
So you were not even on this earth, my friend.
Right. But you know what I mean? Like that was a modern time for me in my youth. And I'm just like, I didn't interact with a whole lot of like Miamians that had the Miami accent. Like I grew up with.
What area did you grow up in?
I'm sorry?
What area did you grow up in? Like in Westchester?
Westchester.
Oh, okay.
But like, I don't know. I had friends that had the accent and I just didn't. And then when I started to get it, my mom, like, bro is a thing here. Everyone's bro.
Yeah.
And my mom beat that out of me, thankfully. Right. So like, I was always the dude guy, like, hey dude, what's up? And then everyone made fun of me. I was like, what are you, from California? I'm like, no, I'm 90 miles that way. That's where I'm from.
Starts with the C, but not quite.
Yeah, but exactly. Yeah. So it was like, there was that, and I never really had it. And then whenever I started to develop it, it was very quickly like ixnayed. Yeah,
it was extinguished.
Yeah. Also, a lot of Rodney Dangerfield growing up.
Well, you got no respect.
And George Carlin. Yeah.
Again, this guy grew up with, but I think it's what you're saying. It's like, you grew up in an environment of like, oh, 1974 just got here. Yeah. Right? Like exactly. that mentality.
Exactly.
So yeah, you're growing up. Actually, that's probably why we get along, because you are growing up with shit that's from like 80s, 90s when I was like your age, but I was your age back when it was happening versus.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. I like, it's a subtle time machine thing, right? Where like, what was happening for everybody else, I was like, what are you talking about, dude? We're not there yet. Like, relax, guys. Let me catch up, okay? I have some reading to do. Subtle flex here. I actually saw George Carlin live at the Adrian Art Center. It was his second to last performance before he passed away. I was 13 years old. It was amazing. Also, do not recommend reading Napalm and Silly Putty while on a flight to California at 12 years old. Maybe not.
Not now, for sure.
Not now, for sure.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't realize that was wrong. I was 12. I just thought it was a great book. I mean, these were the times where like people put their sets in a book.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that. Who does that?
No.
When was the last time a comedian was like, oh yeah, I'm going to write all my jokes down and publish it?
No. Maybe self-published on like a blog.
No, YouTube. That's where it goes. It all ends up on YouTube now, which is fine. But
is it? She's like, it's fine. I'm like, is it fine though? So okay, so we, again, another reason we're both Westchester kids. You know, we grew up in this area. So at what point, okay, you're here, you're catching up on pop culture from 1974. What made you decide to go into just food? I mean, were you that kid who always had like that? Oh, I can cook, or you just fell into it? No,
it was a weird hodgepodge of a lot of things happening at the same time in my life. So When I was 10, my mom was diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease. She's fine. She's been in remission for
That's good.
over 2 decades now, or coming up on I think it's 2 decades. Either way, 20 years. So like my grandmother was living with us, like she raised me. So we're talking, my grandmother was born in the 1930s. So like how I was raised was also very different. So she would cook. And I hate the story of like, oh, I used to hang out with my grandmother when she cooked all the time. Like, yeah, so did everybody else who had a grandmother. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like, I didn't hang out with her. I was just like, oh, this tastes good, whatever. And we got into just a better economic situation at some point, and like we started going out to eat, and it was very foreign for me to like, wait, we're gonna pay other people to cook for us.
And also, your grandmother would probably only cook like Cuban food, right?
Correct.
So it's not like she was even trying to make lasagna.
Exactly.
Right.
And it was like that's the reason to this day that I still can't eat beef liver. The Cuban beef liver is just not. No, bro, it's not the move. Any other liver, done. Beef liver.
There's more than one kind of liver.
Yeah,
I'm showing my ignorance, but
foie gras, chicken liver, pork liver.
Oh, duh. Yeah, okay. Now that you say it out loud, I'm stupid. Okay,
You're not stupid. You're pretty.
It's a fine line.
But so we started going out, and like my grandmother would the thing that would appall her always was like the cost of coffee. A coffee at Macaroni Grill and Doral, which doesn't exist anymore, was like
I remember
$2.15 for a little coffee. And she's like, "This is outrageous. This is highway robbery." And I was like, "What are you talking about? It's coffee. It's fine." But we just started going to nicer places, and the service wasn't there, and the quality of food wasn't there. And I was like, "I don't get it. What's going on?" And I mean, again, in my formative years of understanding food versus cost of food and experience, like Miami was at a point where like, hey guys, we're gonna throw shrimp on fettuccine alfredo, boom, avant-garde cuisine,
$40.
yeah. And I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? So I would hang out at Books and Books, I'd pick up cookbooks, I'd see what other restaurants were doing, I would see what's going on in Spain and in like
you were doing the research.
Yeah,
so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
No, absolutely. A little bit of OCD there. Like once I have like a thing that I can research, it's over. I need to know everything about it. Yeah. I spent 2.5 hours on the toilets at my house. My then girlfriend, now wife, had just moved in with me, and I was really interested in scissors. So I found out that stainless steel was invented in Sheffield, England.
Scissors, like tijeras.
Yeah, scissors. What, dude? I use scissors in the kitchen.
I know, but I don't think I've ever given that much thought. I don't think I've ever put 2 hours of thought into scissors in my 45 years on this planet.
Well,
collectively.
That's why there's people like me walking around who know these things. So yeah, in Sheffield, England, they developed stainless steel, and there's 2 companies that hand make scissors, and I bought mine from Ernest something or other. Ernest Headright. This is horrible. I'm definitely not getting a sponsor anymore.
No,
but
we tried.
Yeah, we tried. But they have a position there. And the head position is master put it together. That's a real position. That's a title on someone's...
Master put it together?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what this guy does?
He puts scissors together?
Scissors together. Right? And it takes 7 years to apprentice under him. 7 years. And like this is... Dude, I'll send you the link on YouTube. It's fantastic.
Okay. All right.
I know I was downplaying YouTube 2 minutes ago, but like this was really great.
This is worth it.
This is worth it. Like the guy's like standing there, and he has like an anvil. He's looking at these beautiful scissors, and he goes, ting, ting, hammer, and then puts them together. He goes, oh, now they cut. And I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? You just hit it with a hammer.
I love that he used an anvil.
Right. But it's like that. I spent 2 hours researching scissors. That's where I ended up. So going back to food, it was just that. Like what I was seeing happening in Miami wasn't in any way avant-garde, wasn't pushing any boundaries, and it wasn't exciting. Okay. But what was happening in New York and what was starting to happen in Chicago and what's been happening in California was like eye-opening to me. I was like, whoa, that's real food. So I just left.
Yeah, because you were in California for a while.
Yeah. I spent 3 years in California, a year down in LA. Sorry, 3.5 years. A year down in LA and 2.5 years up in Napa, Sonoma.
Ooh, nice.
San Francisco.
Okay, so you got like... That's a great mix, I would think, because you get the food of it all, but then you get the wine of it all, right? You understand how that all works together,
Absolutely.
Which I think a lot of people probably don't. Like a lot of chefs, kind of know one or the other. I mean, maybe I'm making a bad assumption, but I think
I mean, some do. Like, I think chefs generally know what goes with their food and what they would prefer to go with their food. But a lot of restaurants just have a beverage director and they're pushing.
Right.
But again, now you're going into the business side of things, and it's like certain sales need to be at certain points. So there's just things you need to have on your list, which is fine. For us, I mean, you know our list. It's growing, but
it's so good.
I'm the som. Like, and very recently, I just got my WSET 1. I'm going for my 2 next year.
I don't know what that is.
Wine Spirits Education Trust. So it's like the Quartermaster Psalms, but a little bit broader. But I got my level 1. I'm going for my level 2 in the beginning of the year, just because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't a total idiot, that I kind of knew what I was talking about. But what it boiled down to for me was like, we're cooking. I know what's going into every dish. And when a guest comes in and they're like, hey, what should I have? It's not a line that we've trained our staff to just deliver.
Right.
Like, our staff is tasting the wine, is tasting the food. So it's like, guys, that wine with, and for everybody, it's a little different, right? But this wine with that dish is life-changing. You're going to see God. It's a religious experience. And for someone else, it's a different wine, but you kind of get pushed in that direction. And what it's all about is being intentional, right? At the end of the day. I'm trying to look as pretty as you. I'm sorry.
I know. Well, you're really working the couch.
Yeah.
Like, you're using all of the real estate, which I appreciate.
We can go farther. I can Don Bailey this. Do you have a fur rug?
God, the fact that you said Don Bailey, as if I didn't already love you.
Right.
Like, now you're just pulling out all the stops.
Well,
I'm sure we could probably find a rug somewhere. There's probably, I think we have another podcast that uses like little blankets. So I'm sure we could, we can improvise.
Perfect.
Yeah. See, now you threw me off.
You're welcome.
I had a thought, but now I'm thinking of you as, the new Don Bailey.
Better than thinking of me as John Daly,
and
the golf player who doesn't practice but still wins tournaments. That guy's a hero, right? Like,
you want to talk about goals?
That's America right there. You have Tiger Woods on one end who trains relentlessly, and you have this guy that shows up drunk, plays barefoot, and he's like, "I got 2 trophies. Relax,
I'm on it."
Yeah, hold my beer.
It'll be fine.
Literally, hold my beer. So, if I wanted a girl to be like anybody, it's probably not that guy, but maybe his really successful cousin.
Right. Like, primo mono.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, going back to your original question, no, I left Miami. I left Miami because there was, at that time, nothing happening here that I felt was going to push me in the direction that I wanted to go in as a professional chef. Like, and I hate to be one of those people, but like, there's a lot of cooks. There's very few professional chefs. And that's where I'll leave that. Like,
how?
Well,
no, I'm saying how soon after because you studied. I mean, you went to the
Culinary Institute. Yeah,
like,
the CIA.
How after, which is how you should say it.
Correct.
You should always be like, I learned how to cook at the CIA.
Well, technically, the Culinary Institute of America was founded before the Central Intelligence Agency, so
we got like a WWF, WWE situation.
Yeah, yeah, we have rights to it.
Okay, all right, fair enough. We're gonna help you file those patents,
please,
on their behalf.
I mean.
But no, how actually I was gonna say, like, how soon after you finished your studies did you leave California, or did you leave Miami to go study?
No. So I genuinely got my start in New York. Like, I had a buddy of mine who had just moved out there with his girlfriend, and I was like, dude, I'm showing up at your place. Like, I'm gonna couch surf for a little while. But it was like knocking on kitchen doors. That's all it was. You
graduated, then you went to New York, and you're like, I'm going to put this to you somehow?
Oh, no. I hadn't even gone to school yet.
Oh, so you're like, I need to make this a reality.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go figure it out
in
New York.
1,000%.
Oh, fuck. All right.
So, like, I was knocking on kitchen doors, and they were, at first, like, and I think everyone does this a little bit. You're like, oh, yeah, I have experience. Well, what? Nah, like, I know how to chop things, right?
I've whisked an egg before.
Yeah, sure. And then they very quickly realize that you don't know anything. So I just started leading with that. I was like, I don't know anything. I don't know my own name. You can call me whatever you want. I'm here to learn. You can, like, treat me horribly. I'll wash dishes. It doesn't matter, right? Like, I have a goal in mind. And that opened up a lot of doors for me. So I spent some time in New York just working, and you make friends, you start to learn, you get better.
You network.
And it was like, hey man, there's this restaurant opening in Chicago. Like my buddies, a Sue there. Like, do you want to put in a good word for you? Are you willing to go? And I'm like, I'll pack my shit right now. So, and that's how it started. Like I went from New York to Chicago down to LA, but that was for a different thing. I got out of the industry for like 6 months because I was like, cooking's the worst. You get burnt out.
Yeah.
And then I became the national sales director for an electronic cigarette company, which is a completely different conversation.
Wow, that you want to talk about left field,
Right?
Yeah,
Well, and then that started to take a swing down, and I was like, "I'll go bartend. Bartenders make money. I know that." And then I spent more time in the kitchen yelling than behind the bar, so I just went back to kitchens.
But were you just yelling at the kitchen staff out of frustration, or were you trying to?
I just needed my food for the guests of the bar. Like getting people to buy drinks, not a problem. We could do that all day. Keeping them sober enough to continue buying drinks, you usually need food. You know what I mean?
I've heard that, yeah.
So it was that, and I left LA in a horrible relationship. It ended, and I like bailed quickly. I moved back to Miami, and I was like, all right, let me figure some stuff out. Let me find my way. And I started reaching out to restaurants in Denmark. And I went through the whole interview process, everything. And they're like, all right, cool. Go start talking to the visa office and get a visa. And the Danish government was like, look, man, everything checks out, but we can't grant you a working visa. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, well, you don't have a degree in your field of work. So if you spend X amount of time here, you can go to school here for free. And we're trying to like limit that. And I was like, cool. What do I need? Like a degree in your field of work.
So they didn't want you to go because you would have gone to school for free there.
Basically. That's the what they summarized, but they didn't like officially say that. It was just like, hey, this is a hang up. We can give you a student visa, but
then you can't work.
But then I can't. Well, I can work. I just can't get paid.
Okay, so you can't work.
Right. You're so cute.
You can't work. Like, yeah, fuck it. Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, I'll just go to culinary school, right? Like, what's the big deal? So
you Elwoods it. What? Like it's hard?
Yeah. I was like, what? Law school?
I already bullshitted my way through New York.
Yeah,
I can
exactly.
Go there.
So at that point, I was like looking at culinary schools and trying to figure out which one was the right one. And I mean, again, I had worked with a lot of. In a minute, don't rush me.
Well, you're already sitting on a couch.
What are you trying to? Black leather couch. I've made way too many jokes about this for it not to be a thing now. Anyway,
you made your own couch and now you got to lay in it.
Here I am. Carpet. No. So I met some people that went to the CIA and heard great things, but like it's one of those things like when you're on a game show and you know the answer, but you still have to phone a friend. So I was like, I don't know where to go. Right? Do I go to like the hospitality school and FIU? Like. Also, no college degree at that point, like high school education, just a very savvy.
So you're starting from zero in that realm.
Correct. And I was 26 at that point, and I was like, or about to turn 26. I don't know what to do. So I applied to the CIA, and I was relentless. Like I was like Jordan Belfort of getting into the CIA. I was like calling every other day. I was like, hey, how's my application doing? Like, what's up? Where are we at? Can I get tracking information on this? And they were like, no, that has to go through a committee. I'm like, okay, who's on the committee? Who do I need to talk to? What's up? Like, it was horrible.
You're like, I learned about scissors for 2 hours.
Right.
You're not getting rid of me that easily.
Like, what's up, guys?
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, after I got accepted, and then they sent me like, oh, you're going to get a uniform on your first day. You're getting a knife kit. Like I sent an email back saying like, hey, I already have knives. So can you just give my knives to another student that may need them? And they're like, no, you don't know how this works. You're going to use our knives. And I was like, oh, okay. So CIA has 3 campuses: San Antonio, New York, and California. Mm-hmm. Having lived in New York and having lived in California, and really at the time not having any interest in San Antonio, I was like, I'll just go back to California. Mm-hmm. It was a lot of fun, and 70% of our produce comes from California. Right. So
where in California is it?
It's in St. Helena, so in Napa Valley, on the northern end. Tiny little town, absolutely beautiful. So I got accepted, I showed up, and I was bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and I was like, I'm here for one thing and only one thing. It's to get my degree and then go work in Copenhagen. So part of that is externship, where it's funny that they call it externship because you exit the school for your internship.
Huh?
Yeah, you have a semester where you get a letter grade to work at a restaurant.
Okay, but it's still an internship.
But it's externship because you're not in school. It's a whole.
Yeah, but nobody's ever done an internship in school. Like, it's always outside of school.
But you can take classes while doing your internship.
Oh, okay, got it.
Right.
Okay.
So you're still attending school.
Oh,
whereas I
okay,
was
okay,
doing
okay,
class work for my schooling, but not going to school
at that time. Okay.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
semantics.
It's CIA.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Hey man, they've got it figured out. So again, I'm 26. The highest position I ever held was like a junior sous at the time. I had no money. I'm in college. Like my mom's helping me pay for it.
Which junior sous for someone who doesn't have any, back, like on paper experience, that's great.
Right. But I mean, we're talking like 5-6 years in already into cooking. And now I'm like finally comfortable. So I had a choice to like come back to Miami, try and find something in New York and like figure out a living situation, find something in Chicago, but figure out a living situation. I had already made friends in California and I saw that Single Thread was one of the externship sites because that's where one of my friends was going or had just come from. And I was like, cool, I'll try that. At the time, they were a 2-star restaurant. When I did my stage, it was 3 days. They were still a 2-star restaurant. The day after they announced that they won their 3rd star, I got my email of like, hey, yeah, you can come like extern here. And I was like, oh, Iggy, thanks. And yeah, that restaurant changed everything for me. It changed my entire perspective on cooking, on sourcing, on like how you talk to staff, how you treat guests. Like it is for me what was the perfect embodiment of hospitality and high level execution of food without like everything needs to look the same. It's like, no, dude, they're vegetables. They're all different. It's okay if they look a little different. Like you can kind of get them there, but not if it's going to compromise the thing at the end of the day. And it's like, oh, okay.
See, that's so interesting to me because I've always felt like this whole, again, my experience comes from literally watching like Food Network, right? So it's not like I have any firsthand. And I understand that when you're trying to train people, it's like you have to get people to understand certain basics, right? Like anything else in life. But I always feel like it's a little bit of what you're saying where it's like, well, this doesn't look a certain way. And I'm like, well, but it also doesn't look like dog shit. You know what I mean? Like it looks like food and it looks appetizing.
Correct. But there's the thought process of like mouthfeel, which I know is just a horrible term, but like when you cut things a certain size, you want to be able to get everything on a fork or on a spoon. So you can't have a massive piece of carrot next to a tiny piece of turnip. Like it doesn't work out. You're going to eat more of one than the other.
Okay.
And then the experience is different.
Fair.
But it's like when you're serving a whole braised turnip, it's okay that 2 turnips don't look exactly the same because why?
Because turnips don't all come out of a factory.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's like if you're doing a precision cut and everything's supposed to be 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch, then it has to be 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch. But it was weird of like, I mean, weird isn't the word. It was just illuminating. Like, hey, things can be different, but not all things can be different. And we're just going to coach you through it. We're going to walk you through how to get there. Rather than most kitchens where you're like, you just get yelled at and berated until you learn or you leave.
Okay.
And that wasn't Single Thread at all. It was the most beautiful learning experience of my life. Like now, I mean, I have responsibilities. I have a family and a business, but now if I got a phone call,
adorable son.
Yeah, Jameson. He turned 2.
Yeah, recently. Yeah,
2 weeks ago. Yeah, that's a whole other.
He's so cute.
He's the best.
He's so cute.
But if they called me tomorrow and were like, "Hey, do you want to come back? Like, we need help. We'd love to have you back." No questions asked. I would go.
Like you'd figure it out.
Yeah, I'd figure it out because it's my Disneyland for sure. It was the best restaurant I've ever worked at, and they really formed who I am as a chef now and how we all work in Kojin.
Yeah. So obviously at some point you come back to Miami.
Yeah. Yes.
And you start the first Kojin, right? Which and I'm gonna. Well, I know I'm probably jumping around in timelines here, but I want to mention this because I saw it in one of the things I read about y'all. It was a 6-seat back of the house pop-up
Yep.
at a place in Little River.
Yep.
How do you 6 seats? What are you even doing?
It was.
I mean, like,
It was 8.
okay,
It was 8
okay,
seats.
all right.
And so let me give you the timeline, and then it'll start to come together. So I moved back.
It's like this is 6 seats.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
No, this was bigger than the original Kojin. The original Kojin was 495 square feet with no kitchen.
Oh,
We'll get into that.
Okay.
I promise.
all right.
So I moved back December of 2019, and I was like, okay, I know where I want to go. Catherine, my current wife,
Yes.
at that point girlfriend,
Her desserts are phenomenal.
she's great at what she does, which is everything.
Yes. She's a doll to begin with.
Yeah.
But oh my God, that key line.
That's gone.
It's gone?
Yeah,
But why?
because things change.
But why? But it's so yummy.
I'm not the pastry chef.
Okay, I'll swing by tomorrow and ask her.
Just yell at her.
Okay. No, I'm not gonna yell at her.
You should yell at her. She likes it.
No, I'm not gonna.
Don't yell at her.
I will ask her nicely what happened.
That's
Yes.
better than what I do. But so we were kind of figuring it out. She had to go back to New York because we met at the CIA. I stole her car, which is a very Miami thing, but a different conversation.
Oh no, you're not sliding past that one. So tell us how you stole your now wife's car.
Well, I had gotten out of class. We were living in St. Helena. Taco Bell was in Napa. It was a 30-minute drive. I totaled my car 2 days before the semester started. I wanted Taco Bell. Her keys were out on the table in front of her.
Now, were you guys together at that time?
No.
Oh, okay. So when you say you stole her car, like literally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why is this confusing?
No. I'm just making. I'm on my second drink. That's
Right.
That's why I'm making sure I'm still coherently
Yeah.
understanding
No.
things.
You're there.
Okay.
You're there.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
it wasn't stealing. It was more of like
You brought it back.
with her in it. Sure.
Oh, okay.
It was commandeering.
So it was kidnapping.
Look, if you want to label things,
We live in a very label world right now.
she willingly got into the car.
Okay, and you lured her there with promises of tacos.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
you know
No,
what?
it would, like genuinely what happened is I got out of class. She was in the common area. She was studying, and I was like, I want Taco Bell. And she goes, that's great. That was the end of it. And I was like, yoink. She's like, those are my keys. And I'm like, clearly they're not mine. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, you have a car. I can tell by the shape of the key. I'm going to Taco Bell. And she goes, you can't take my car. And I said, all evidence to the contrary. I have the thing that allows me to take your car.
Okay.
I'm in possession of it. And then we went to Taco Bell, and that's
And now you're married and you have a child.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you know,
Moral of the story is, guys, if you see a girl you like, steal her car.
nope.
Buy her tacos.
Nope.
It'll end wonderfully.
I do not subscribe to that. I mean, if that's it worked for me, but that may not work for everybody.
Okay,
I
all right.
cannot support that.
Okay, fine. This is the disclaimer part of the show. All right.
Yeah.
It's the holidays again. Time for families to come together and enjoy flan, mac and cheese, un pumpkin pie, a little coquito. The list goes on and on. But do you know what brings all those delicious holiday favorites together? The delicious, creamy taste of dairy, like the kind we get from Florida Milk. And this holiday, our Florida dairy farmers are also giving you the perfect recipes at floridamilk.com or lechedeflorida.com. Así que whether you're celebrating Thanksgiving or Nochebuena, don't forget to add some dairy to the celebration.
Anyway, so she had to go back to New York to finish out her last semester, and I was like, okay, well, while you're in New York, I'll get a job, save up some money, and then we'll figure out our next steps. Like when you get out, are we going to Copenhagen? Are we going to Spain? Like what are we going to do? And then March 2020 comes around.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah, and then the whole world shut down. But we were always told, like, you're in the hospitality industry.
Oh, yeah.
You're always going to be in demand. Yeah. And boy, were we not. So we all lost our jobs. School basically was like, hey, we don't know what's going to happen. So pack up your dorm rooms and go home. We'll reach back out to you once everything stabilizes. So she packed up and moved down and moved in. And I was like, sick.
So you guys just moved in here in Miami?
Yeah. She just moved in with me in Miami. Okay. And then like it accelerated our plans. But we're like, okay, what do we do? Like we couldn't get out and go to Copenhagen. Like we were going to jump.
Well, you literally couldn't.
Right. Like we couldn't.
You couldn't. There was not even a flight. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So like it just got to the point where I had so much cabin fever. I was pulling off like 22 course tasting menus in my house for Catherine. Yeah, it was like, here, babe, I made dinner, and
I quarantined with the wrong person.
Sorry. You should have let me steal your car in culinary school.
You see, if I had known.
Well, and to be fair, I probably haven't cooked a solid meal in my house in the past 3 years, right? So
it's balance.
There's balance. But I was bored, man, and I had nothing to do. And it, with an obnoxious amount of cookbooks, which you've seen currently at the restaurant, that's a fifth of our library, by the way. A fifth. Yeah, it runs deep. Let's not talk about my.
All right, beast.
Yeah, exactly. Our continuing education budget. We won't discuss that. But I just looked at her at one point and I was like, I'm gonna go crazy. I mean, like everybody else, right? And she's like, okay, well, find something to do. And there weren't really restaurants opening. Whoever was open was kind of like in a weird funk. And I was like, okay, well, how can I add value to a restaurant while still doing my own thing, but not working for the restaurant? So I had a friend who I worked with at Alter, and we're like, all right, dude, let's do a pop-up. We started doing R&D at his apartment, doing R&D at our house. And we had figured out a menu. It was dumplings. We did dim sum.
Okay.
Plain, simple dim sum. And we're like, okay, cool. We got everything. Now, where do we do it? So Instagram, 11 o'clock, I see a cafe in Coral Gables that's like playing live music.
Oh.
In the middle of COVID. And I'm like, sick. I mean, not in the middle, but like towards the beginning, I was like,
Right.
this is awesome. Like, who are these people? So I reached out to them. I was like, hey, I have this really great idea. Like, I need a space. I want to do a pop-up. It works out great because I want to be open the hours that you're closed. So we'll pay rent. We'll add revenue.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. So we ended up meeting with them, and that's how we got our start. We opened EMP Dumplings in South Miami, right across from Sunset Place.
Oh.
And we were there from Thanksgiving 2020 to April 2021.
Okay. So.
And yeah, exactly.
Substantial time.
So it was substantial time. And in that time, the guy who owned Hachidori Ramen came in to dine. And when we knew we were coming to the end of our pop-up, we're like, okay, what do we want to do? Let's look for another space. Let's do another concept. Let's just keep doing pop-ups until something sticks, and then we can run with it. So being the brilliant minds that we are, we just put it up on Instagram like, hey, we're looking for a new space. We want to do a different concept. This guy reaches out. He's like, hey, I have a space. And I was like, sick. And then we find out it's a ramen shop. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. We're getting a whole ramen shop. Like, this is great. We show up and he's like, hey, let's go talk in the back. And I'm like, oh, we're going to the office? This place is an office? And the restaurant was sick. And I was like, yeah, dude, this is huge. This is great.
It just gets better by the minute.
It just keeps getting better. And then we go into like this sake bar in the back that has a curtain blocking the entrance. It was like, it wasn't dingy. It was weird, right? Like I didn't know what was happening, and he was using it as storage for everything else for the restaurant. And I was like, cool. So can we use your kitchen? He's like, no, we're really like busy. Like I don't want there to be crossover, because then if we're in the way of what you're doing, or you're in the way of what we're doing.
It's fair.
It's totally fair. Like it made complete and total sense. So I was like, all right, this looks great. I'll figure something out. Let me get back to you. And I went to go see it. And then I told Kat, like, hey, you got to check out the space. I think it's a winner. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. Tell me about it. I was like, no. You got to go see it. So we go in, and the whole spiel happens again. It's like, you don't have access to the kitchen. You don't have this. You don't have that. And I was like, cool. Can I get 2 shelves in your walk-in and a low boy? And the guy was like, yeah. And, he's like, I'll give you guys a minute. Let me go see what's going on up front. Kat and I are standing back there. She's like, what are you going to do? You're going to do sushi out of here? You don't ever want to do sushi. I'm like, no, I have no interest in doing sushi. She's like, what are you going to do? You don't have a kitchen. It's like, it's fine. What are you going to do? I'm like, 12-course tasting menu. You don't have a kitchen,
Without
asshole.
a kitchen.
And I was like, I got it. I'll figure this out. A quick trip to IKEA, 2 induction burners, 2 sous vides, and a countertop oven. We opened Kojin.
Wow.
Yeah.
In like a broom closet.
Yeah. Yeah.
sir, that is like the definition of, you may not have the Miami accent, but you got the Miami hustle. Because
I'm a Cuban engineer.
That is that's what they teach at the CIA. That is like the definition of like, I will figure this the fuck out.
Yeah.
And I will make this work. And yeah, you did. You did.
We did. We were supposed to be there for 3 months, but we kept doing better. And so we're like, all right, like, do we go? We kept having meetings about this. Is like, do we stay with the owner of Hachidori? Right. And he's like, you guys are great. I mean, you can be here as long as you want.
That was good.
So, I mean, Kat and I got engaged just before we opened that. We got married while we had it. We got pregnant with Jameson while we were there. She gave birth to Jameson while, she worked up until 2 days before she gave birth to Jameson. Yeah, that wasn't me. That was all her. She's relentless.
Damn.
Yeah, she's a tough cookie. But either way, like, we also outgrew that space like fairly quickly. Like, demand just was through the roof.
Almost 8 seats.
Right. We would do 16 people a night, and on nights where we felt extra spicy, we would do 24. We would just like, hey, do we want to book people at 11 o'clock? Sure, let's do it.
If they're willing to come, fuck it.
Yeah, and it was awesome. But I mean, that was really the start of what Kojin is now, and it was just us. Like, I was front and back of house. Like, I was serving you, I was cooking your food, I was clearing your plates, pouring you sake, pouring you wine.
But you're still kind of doing that.
Yeah.
You still are kind of doing that, because again, that's why I'm saying, like, the first time we went there, I mean, it was like you were out and about, you were, you were in the kitchen, you were in the front, you were behind the bar, you were talking to people at their tables, and so, but I just think that's you. And I'm actually going to pull out a quote that you gave the New Times.
Oh.
Which I think is very indicative of just that, right? Like, you said, Kojin 2.0 is a punk rock experience in a jazz bar.
Yeah.
And I think that is very, very true. Like, just having sat at that bar and watch you work, for lack of a better way of putting it. Yes, because you're again, it all starts, and I've said this before, Jerry and I have said this before. You can always tell when you go to a place if the owners are invested, and I don't even mean that from a monetary perspective. I mean that just if they are invested. And we always use Shoujo's Dojo as the example. When you go to Shoujo, you know what you're getting because Mari and Hader have created the vibe you are walking into, and they are there, and they are Shoujo, and Shoujo is they, right? That is the feeling that I get when I walk into Kojin. Like, you are Kojin, Kojin is you.
Yeah.
And it comes through in everything.
That's
like,
awesome.
I mean, and I'm not saying that to blow smoke up your ass or because you're here, but it comes through.
For us, it's like, dude, I really just want people to have a good time. Like, and this is what we tell our staff. Everyone who comes to the restaurant can go anywhere else. Like, there's 1,000,010 options in Miami. Mm. I'm just happy people are walking in the door, right? And not even from a business standpoint of just like, you chose us for your night out. Like, I get to curate your experience. Yeah. That's an honor to me. I'm like, sick. You trust me. I can't let you down as a guest. Right. Awesome. Let's have a good time. And there are the tables that like want to talk to me about Formula One. And then there are the tables that want to talk to me about like drifting at 2:00 in the morning on the 836. It's like, all right, dude, whatever. I'm here for all of it. Like, what's up? But it's knowing like who you need to be and where. And that's what I mean by like punk rock at a jazz bar, right? Because in many ways, am I punk rock? Yeah. But in many ways, am I Miles Davis? Like, I think Miles Davis is more punk rock than he is jazz.
Listen, jazz is probably the most punk rock thing outside of punk rock because there is no format.
Yeah.
It's just fucking jam session.
Exactly.
Without being an annoying jam session.
Dude, so Jameson, my son, great taste in music. Mostly my fault. The first song I ever heard was Howling Wolf's Smokestack Lightning. We're talking about In Mercy Hospital. That's what I was playing to soothe him. Because I'm an adult. And that's what I think soothes babies. Not lullabies.
Listen.
But blues.
You're not basic.
Correct.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah.
And we graduated from that to like, why am I forgetting his name? See, this is what we talked about earlier. Dave Brubeck. Take 5 by Dave Brubeck. It's one of his favorite songs.
To this day.
To this day. And depending on what version, when it was remastered, when it was recorded, they all sound so slightly different, and it annoys the shit out of me because I'm like, what do you do? Why is it different? Then I'm like, oh, is it just that's how it is? It doesn't matter
because it's punk rock.
Because it's punk rock. So that's what I mean. Like, you can come to Kojin and pop bottles. There's no sparklers. There's no girls in bikini. But you can come to Kojin, pop.
I mean, if you need one, I'll show up.
Well, you should know this. My entire uniform's a tearaway, and underneath it, I'm always in a bikini. No.
Well, now I want to work there.
Well, that's how we lure everyone in.
You bring us in with promises of tearaway clothing, and
but it's like you can show up, and if you're like you have the party vibe, you can party. If you're hey, I want a really nice meal. It's my anniversary. Like, I want something, clean and proper. You have that.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
In the same night.
Yeah.
There was like a table of a good maybe 10 people. They were all there for one of your tasting menus, which I'm gonna experience. I promised that to myself, not even to you. I promised that to myself. And then at the bar next to us, there was just like a couple that was out for like a romantic evening. Literally, 5 feet apart?
Yeah.
Different vibes, right? Different goal for the night.
Correct.
Both achieved.
Yep.
And neither one, at no moment did it feel like the other one was intruding on the other's vibe.
No one's noise was too loud.
Yeah.
Right. And that was like the idea behind the space too, because
your music level is phenomenal, by the way.
Thank you.
You found like the perfect level because it's not loud, but it's not low. Like, I know it's there, but I don't know it's there.
It's also our music choice. So we do a lot of lo-fi hip hop covers. So it's songs that you recognize, but you don't immediately recognize.
Oh, okay.
So it gives you a sense of comfort, but it's loud enough for you to hear someone's murmur, but not be in someone else's conversation.
Okay.
But not too loud so that you can't have your own conversation. The amount of detail that has gone into planning some of these things, like our glassware, our water glasses don't weigh anything. They're made out of borosilicate lab glass.
That just sounds like a lot of things that I don't know.
So
and that's okay.
You thought 2 hours on scissors was bad? Let's not go on the glassware conversation. No, has this ever happened? It's happened to everybody. So if you say no, you're a fucking liar. Have you ever been at a dinner and you're on it, you got your hot five, right? You're doing your bit. And you're fucking thirsty, but you grab for your water, but the cup is heavy, and then you go like this, and we're delivering a hot five, and then, oh shit, there's no fucking water in it. Now I'm an idiot, and let me put that down and pretend like nobody noticed while I'm still. I hate that. So our water glasses don't weigh anything, because the minute you do this, if it just comes right off the table, you fucking put it back down, and you move through your bit. And you're done.
God, this motherfucker thought of everything.
Jeez, almost.
Louise.
It's the next time you come in, just pick up a glass and you're like, this guy's a fucking asshole.
I'm literally, the next time I walk by, I'm just gonna walk by. I'm just gonna be like, I'm just here to pick up the glass.
That's fine. Just come in tomorrow. We're doing a 12-hour photo shoot of everything, so you might as well. We need models.
Well, I get the Vanna thing. I can pose. I can hold. Do you need people to pretend that they're eating? Because I can do a lot of like.
Or we could just feed you, but that's it.
Well, see, I didn't want to be presumptuous.
You know me. Don't do that. Don't play coy.
But then what have I got left?
But that's the thing. You can pass by on a Wednesday night, have a couple glasses of wine and a snack. Come in on Thursday, sit down at a table, enjoy a la carte. Friday, do a tasting menu at a table, have a little bit more of an intimate experience. Right. Then Saturday night, you really want to ball out? There's 2 seats in front of the kitchen, wine pairing, tasting menu. Like, I serve you all night. It's just you, me, whoever you're dining with, and we can have a blast. You can come in every day of the week and have a completely different experience.
And that's also very jazz, right?
Yeah.
It's the same play. Like to your point, it's like it's the same piece, right? Yeah. But there's variations to it. And I know you use a lot of like local, you source everything locally, and
as much as I can.
As much as you can, but what I love about that is that you're also very big, and that's why I think lends itself to that whole jazz mentality, right? Where you're like, what have we got today?
Yeah.
Cool. This is what we're gonna make. And that versatility, like, that goes a fucking long way. Like, you may come in today and have a tasting menu that doesn't exist tomorrow.
Yeah, it's happened.
Yeah.
My staff both love and hates that. My culinary team, they're all phenomenal. We've expanded. We've got 2 more guys in the kitchen, and they're phenomenal. They're great. I love them being there. But me and Chris, we've been working together for 4 years now, and he just knows, like, I'll show up one day and I'm like, we're changing 3 things. What are we changing them to? I don't know yet. I'm waiting to see what comes in.
But it's coming.
But it's coming. We're going to figure it out. And he's like, okay, just let me know. Right. But yeah, I mean, it's, if I get my hands on something cool and it's only going to be around for 2 weeks, like, we're serving it for the next 2 weeks. If it's only going to be around for today, put it on.
Guess what?
Let's go.
Special today.
Yeah. But like, that's, I don't know. Like, for example, I think Cheesecake Factory is a phenomenal restaurant, right? Like, what they do is great. They just have a really long menu and it plays to their benefit, right? Like, you can go to Cheesecake Factory for probably a month and not eat everything on their menu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's a reason to come back, right? Like, oh, I can go there and try something new and try something different. With us, it's like, I can go there and one thing may be different, or all the things may be different, or maybe I'm just going to have something I'm familiar with.
Or the dessert I love is no longer on the menu.
Yeah, well, sometimes you have to move on.
I'll let you know how that works out for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like tiramisu?
See, I like tiramisu, but I don't like it as much as what your wife did with key lime pie.
Right. Do you like matcha?
No, not really. No, wait. I like matcha. I don't like mochi. Sorry. Yes,
Okay.
I like matcha.
So we have a matcha tiramisu on the menu now. You'll be fine.
Okay, I'll be fine. I'll adapt.
Yeah.
I'll adapt.
And if you ask nicely, maybe Catherine can sort some stuff out and you'll get your...
No.
We'll backdoor deal it. It's fine.
No. You know, you got tampoco and be like, that guy. No, I'm not trying to be that guy. No.
You don't have to try.
I'm not.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't mean that. It's just...
Well, on that note, fine.
Well, is that time?
That's time. That's 22 minutes. Okay.
As long as I've ever lasted. Anyway.
See, that's what I'm gonna ask Catherine when I bring her.
Oh, seconds. Yeah.
The fact you have a child.
Yeah. I don't even know if I was in the room for that. No, I was definitely in the room for that.
It was right after you looked at the scissors.
Yeah. No, but that's the beauty of Kojin. Like, it's something for everyone, always, at all times, right? Mm-hmm. And I think, like, right now is also a really interesting period where we're still, like, I mean, you're reading articles about us, but we're still somehow like this cult underground restaurant where, like, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
And
I'm doing my best to change that, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I literally, like, after we've eaten there, I literally texted, like, everyone I knew, and I'm like, y'all, we gotta come here. We've got to make this happen. And again, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass because you're here. Like, it's just great food and an awesome vibe.
Thank you. No, we're getting there, right? Like, guest counts are going up. Things are moving in the right direction. I just feel like right now is the most interesting time because we still have that balance of, like, hey, what's up, ish, before it goes to, like,
and you are?
Did you come in last night?
Yeah.
Because I saw someone mention that you were. Did I say hi to you? I don't know what happened. What's my name again?
Right.
And I think that's also a beautiful thing once we find the balance there because it's growing into that. Yeah. But right now it's like the cult underground restaurant, and I love it from, like, a me standpoint. But from a business standpoint, it's like, all right, we got this. We're going there. We're getting there. And we're learning every day.
Well, I mean, I'm going to take Junior one of these days, and then I know, because I know Junior's super connected. So the minute that he goes, like, all the big money ballers are going to show up.
Please?
Yeah. He used to work for the Heat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So he's going to tell Bernie.
Awesome.
Yeah. The mascot's going to eat there. And then, Bernie's going to tell all of his mascot friends.
That's what I need. And a restaurant full of furries. Mascots.
Again, fine line.
Right.
Listen, does the card go through? That's all that matters.
Hey, man, everybody's money's green.
Everybody.
Who am I to judge?
Exactly. Listen, furries got to eat.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of calories when you're going at it in all that costume.
Is that from experience or you've heard?
We'll move on to the next question. It's
how many people have been able to break you like that on this podcast?
I almost said it in a weird. I'm like, I'm very easy to break, but that's that in and of itself sounds bad. But no, yeah, I show up wanting to have a good time.
Good.
So it's not like that hard to make me laugh. I say that within that context, right?
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm not here just trying to be like, so tell me.
Yeah, this isn't
this is not Barbara Walters. Yeah. It's like, I'm here to have a good time, so I'm always gonna laugh and break and all that bullshit.
Again, just to perfect loop this back in.
Yeah.
Grew up listening to Rodney Dangerfield, Richard Pryor, George Carlin. Like,
Yeah.
Dan Rickles. So like those one-liners, man.
Love Don Rickles. Oh,
Is it Don Rickles?
it is Don. Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd. That's the other one.
Yeah. I mean, one's Canadian.
Do you want to hear a funny story?
Always.
So my 19th birthday, my mom takes me to Canada because my mom's a really supportive person and like a modern woman.
I get that vibe just based on how you're talking about her.
She's amazing. She's amazing. So the legal drinking age in Toronto is 19.
Oh.
So for my 19th birthday, she goes, "You're going to have your first legal drink." And I'm like, "All right, dude, cool. Canadian club on the plane from Miami to Toronto." Because that's it. Once you're on the plane, you're in Canada.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was great. So we, and my mom, a itinerary person, like has to have a plan for everything. Thank God that she bestowed that upon me. It's a trauma, but it's fine.
It's worked to your benefit.
Yeah. Now I'm like, oh, we're going somewhere? Great. I need to plan out every second. But she's like, oh, we're going to do a winery tour. And I'm like, in fucking Toronto?
They have wineries?
Yeah.
I'm sure they do, but
Ice
really?
wine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
right? Connecting the dots.
Yeah.
That's where I was at 19. I was like, what? Oh, that makes sense. So we end up in this winery and we go through the whole thing and they're making ice wine. Great. Cool. We taste some stuff and it's like, all right, awesome. And then we walk into the gift shop / their tasting room. Mm-hmm. And there's this bronze bust of a very familiar face. It's fucking Dan Aykroyd.
Does he own
He owns the fucking winery. Yeah, he also owns Crystal Skull Tequila, which I recently found out.
Yeah, that I knew. Yeah.
But he owns
That winery.
an ice wine winery. Yeah.
Does it still exist?
Yeah. Wait, it gets better. So we bought a bunch of wine. Great. I have a picture of 19-year-old me with a bronze bust of Dan Aykroyd in his winery. And at this point, I'm living in California. My mom went back to Toronto with like my niece because she wanted a whatever. And
At 19.
she wanted to drink at 19. Right. And they end up at the winery. And she's like, hey, I'm here. Is there anything you want? And at this point, like, my mom's calling me. I'm in California. Like, I'm on my 30-minute break. And I'm like, I really, like, this is... I need to focus.
Yeah.
Something
Looking at mommy. Yeah.
No, I didn't even go that far. I was like, I kind of just wanted to hit her with something so that she would have to figure it out.
Okay.
But I didn't want to just say like, oh, whatever you want, because I know we've just gotten like a bottle of wine or a wine opener, which would have been fine. But I was like, get me something that no one else can have. And she's like, what? And I was like, put the gift shop person on. So I'm talking to the general manager of the gift shop / tasting room, and all I'm saying to them is give my mother something for me that no one else can have.
Okay.
And that is not for sale.
Do you now own the bust of Dan Aykroyd?
No. I have a portrait of Dan Aykroyd in his winery drinking wine, and it hung above my bed in my childhood home for years. And then friends would come and be like, oh, who's that? And I'm like, oh, that's my dad. I still have it. It's currently in my son's nursery.
Okay, wait. Okay, that's a great place for it.
Right.
Not even gonna, because he's protected now from ghosts. Right.
Exactly.
It makes total sense.
Busting makes me feel good.
Right.
The best part of the song.
This is the best part of the song.
They fucking took it off the wall.
So this was just something that was hanging in the winery.
Yep. They took it off the wall, frame it, everything, put it into a bag, and said, "Here you go, Miss Mederos." And then it showed up in Miami.
All right. Do we know what they told Dan if he showed up there and he's like, "Hey, where's the painting of me?"
I don't know, but Dan, call me.
Okay,
Excuse me, Mr. Aykroyd.
Oh my God. Well,
put some
no. Fair enough, but you own a painting of his.
Yeah.
So I think Dan is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to go, Mr. Aykroyd. I think
I slept under him for years, so
yeah.
it's
So
fine.
I think you're way beyond Dan.
Well, his visage, right? Not under him directly.
Right. Well, it's close enough. Yeah. More than most people.
Correct. Well,
Because he's been married to the same woman forever. So I mean, that's
congrats to him.
Yeah, that's more than most people.
Yeah.
Where am I going with this? No. So
I don't know where to go from that. Yeah. So there's a
you've-
portrait of Dan Aykroyd in my house,
Okay.
in my son's nursery now.
Okay. You need to post this on social media.
Okay.
Tag him.
Yeah.
Because this is the type of shit that it's like, I guarantee you at some point he walked in there and he's like, where's the portrait? And maybe that person had like left already, so they couldn't even explain what had happened.
Maybe.
You know, he believes in like aliens and shit. So you may be like solving a mystery for him right now. That's what we do on Pedro, let me tell you. We help Canadians find answers.
I didn't. Again, this is like the stealing my wife's car thing. I didn't steal the thing.
Well, no, you paid for it. Well, your mother did.
Maybe.
Okay, well,
I wasn't there.
you weren't. So, right. You didn't steal it for sure.
Right.
Right,
But
right.
Is there a portrait of Dan Aykroyd in my son's nursery right now?
Yes, there is.
Yep.
Yes, there is.
That's Grandpappy right there.
I love the fact that you tell people it's your father. Just
Yeah. Because I'm like, again, I know who Dan Aykroyd is,
right.
but I'm 31 now. So at the time, you know, the people I was hanging out with.
It's true. Ghostbusters was like old.
Right. So
Yeah.
people were like, who the fuck is that? And I'm like, my dad. What? That's your dad? I'm like, yeah, he owns a bunch of wineries. That's why he's never here. You know what I mean? Like,
When he's not fighting ghosts. Yeah.
when he's not fighting ghosts,
yeah.
he's making wine and tequila
Yeah.
or
That's what he
vodka,
does.
whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Is it Skullhead tequila or Skullhead vodka?
It's tequila.
There you go.
Tequila.
So it's like people just didn't know who he was. How, well, like, you gave me the material, right? You're teeing me up. If I don't swing, it's a crime.
Yeah, no. Nobody likes a whiffer.
Right.
No.
But that's, yeah. So yeah, Dan Aykroyd.
Well, you know what? Honestly, I can't think of a better place to end than Dan Aykroyd's, portrait hanging over here.
That's
over
all
your
you
bed.
want from me? We can keep going.
Well, no, I didn't even know that's what I was gonna get from you. Like, I didn't know about Dan Aykroyd. So
Oh.
shit, that's like bonus.
You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. But Pedro, again, I say this and I'm not blowing smoke. Your restaurant is one of these places that, and I make it a point to say this to people. Like, I say this to Danny and Rosa, the owners of Sandwich, all the time. Like, there was a moment there where whenever I was having a shitty day, I would just go there and I was automatically like, okay, I'm in a better mood. Your place does that as well. So thank you for just creating that vibe. And honestly, listeners, viewers, if you're in the Miami area, if you're visiting, I know it's the holidays are coming, some of you are coming down, you're looking for something that's a little different. You want to get away from your family for a couple hours? Kojin, Coral Gables, I'm a block away. If you just, if you DM us, maybe I'll show up. Like I'm I'm Dan Aykroyd.
I'll put a portrait of you up in the kitchen. Can you send me a still of his? We'll get it framed. We'll put it up in the kitchen.
Now I'm thinking of like which of my thirst traps on Instagram.
I honestly, if it's not a Don Bailey pose, it's not going up.
Well, okay, the gauntlet's been thrown.
It's answer it.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Ish Bailey.
Ish Bailey.
Ish Bailey. Done. That sounds like something you order. Like I'll have the Ish Bailey. Thanks.
You know what the worst part is? Right under it, we're gonna put a plaque that says "sense of urgency."
No, that tracks. that
It works,
truer words have never been spoken.
and that is sad.
And thank you for coming.
Yeah, bye.
But okay, seriously, thank you for swinging by, man.
Oh,
like
man, it's my pleasure.
I every time I walk by your place, it's always just a smile. You're like, come in, and
Yeah, dude.
I always wind up popping in and just hanging out for like 15 minutes, bullshitting with you. And honestly, the fact that I got to do it now on the show is an honor for me because I really do enjoy you, and I think you're really, really fun. And so thank you for stopping by.
Thank you, man. And if this needs to be a recurring thing, that's fine. We can dive more into copious amounts of stupid, pointless research.
I mean,
You might learn more about Dan Aykroyd.
I mean, I'm saying I think what we're hearing here, Junior, is spinoff.
Spinoff?
Spinoff.
I believe so.
Yeah.
And just to let you guys know, it's Crystal Skull Vodka.
I
it's
thought it was
crystal.
tequila.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought it was
Crystal
tequila.
Skull Vodka.
Sorry, Danny.
I thought, yeah, well,
Sorry, Dad.
Yeah, he's
My
messing,
bad, Pops.
he's messing up his
Crystal
dad's brand.
Head Vodka by Dan Aykroyd.
Okay.
Crystal
okay.
Head
Did
Vodka.
you look up his ice winery?
No,
I'd like to know if
I
it's
do
still-
that next.
What are you doing, bro?
It's only one Dan Aykroyd Google per show.
Oh, yeah. We have to set limits.
So we're bringing you back.
All right.
Yeah.
All
That,
right.
that way, the next time you'll have something to look up.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We don't want to do it all in one sitting.
Yeah, no. If this was like a class paper, the references it would be a whole page.
It's too much, and then we
Sorry.
can't have too many footnotes. As a rule, in life.
Okay.
I'm assuming. I don't know anything. But but again, thank you so much for coming
Thank you
by,
for
man.
having me.
Thank you for swinging by.
Yeah.